Welcome to Backstage with Becca B, with special guest Austin Colby. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, he's played Tony in West Side Story, Bob in Jersey Boys, Ralph in The Sound of Music, and more. Currently, you can catch him as Hans in Disney's Frozen on tour alongside his wife, Caroline Bowman. Please welcome Austin Colby.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining me on this.
Oh my goodness, I'm honored. Thank you for reaching out. How have you been?
I've been very good. How have you been?
Good. Hanging out in Minneapolis, and it's starting to get pretty chilly. So
Hey, bringing the cold to
that's
Minneapolis
right.
from.
That's right.
Yep, perfect. So, I mean, it's been a weird time. So, how did you get through this past year when the tour kind of paused?
Yeah, for viewers that don't know, I'm actually married to Elsa, and I couldn't have done this last 18 months without my wife, Caroline Bowman. And we're really lucky to have had each other. I think we, before being cast in Frozen, we're both in the industry, so we understand everything that goes into it. But to share an experience that we loved so much and then lose it for 18 months and then get it back we're very lucky to have each other as a partner in all of this.
And I feel like when everything stopped, everyone was like, "Okay, it's gonna come back in like 2 weeks. It's gonna be fine."
Oh yeah, a little brief vacation is what we thought, and then it was kind of a moving target where we would think they would give us a date when we would come back, and then it would keep being pushed back. So we're so happy to be back.
Kind of exhausting. I was very optimistic at first, and then I was like, "Okay, maybe not."
Yeah.
So, have you always known that you wanted to be a theater performer or an actor?
No, actually, I am the youngest of three, so I have an older sister and then an older brother and then me. And I have always looked up to them and kind of always did. It was very like monkey see, monkey do. I did whatever they did. If they, played a sport, I played a sport. If they swam, I swam. And then they got into theater just happenstance, and it's stuck for me. I enjoyed theater throughout middle school and high school, and thought about pursuing it as a degree on the collegiate level, and decided that I would get a music education degree instead. But while I was in college, I got involved in the theater department just kind of recreationally, and I've been doing it ever since.
So it worked out in the end.
Oh yeah.
To do the classic theater program, it worked
I feel like theater was just kind of always like, I don't want to say destiny, but something that was going to be a big part of my life, and a great source of joy in my life. But I didn't really realize it until I was in the thick of it.
Yeah. Do you have a show that you remember seeing and you were like, "Okay, I have to be on stage one day in a show. I don't care what show it is, but you're like, this is magical."
Well, my favorite show is Les Mis, and I remember seeing that at a young age, maybe too young, considering like some of the gruesome nature of it all. Because I remember seeing Gavroche and thinking, "Oh, this is like scrappy kid. It's so great. I could do that." And then I don't want to give any spoilers away, but just to watch that, I would say probably Les Mis, which is, as a serious show.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic, and it's like the music, everything is perfect. It's very
still
dark.
my favorite. Yeah.
Very dark for a kid. I mean, it works. Music is. What's your favorite song in Les Mis? I have to ask.
In Les Mis, I think classic. One of the classic most classic, Barry tenor songs is "Bring Him Home." I just think, you
Right.
can't listen to that song and not have tears well up in your eyes. It's just, it's so touching.
And it's like anyone who can sing that song amazes me.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
it's so hard, so hard.
Yeah.
So before I get into Frozen, you've been in shows like West Side Story, Jersey Boys, Sound of Music, and more. What has been your favorite show to step into, and why?
My favorite show to step into would have to be West Side Story, and that was I can remember seeing the movie and just falling in love with it. But specifically to play Tony, who I just think is so optimistic and such a hopeless romantic, and I love that character, but in the environment of, unfortunately, topics that are still so relevant today, um, to be able to be a part of that show, and that unfortunately timeless story, was had such a big impact on my life, and I've done it 3 times, but the first time I did it, was in DC at Signature Theater, and directed by my good friend Matthew Gardner, and he trusted me to do that show, and I knew I was going to love the experience, but I didn't think it was going to truly change my life. I think I grew a lot as a performer and as a human, doing it, and I loved it. It definitely is the most challenging role I've ever played, but we really care about what we do, and wanting to really put forth a good performance every night, and there's just so much passion in it. I mean, I could talk about that show all day.
I was gonna say, speaking of dark shows too,
Right, exactly.
when did you first see the movie or did you first see it on stage? And did you
I
know how dark it was?
I first saw the movie, and I was young when I saw it, and then my brother actually played Tony in his high school production, and I was I think I was in 4th grade when he did it, and I 4th or 5th grade, and I at intermission I just started crying because I realized what happens in the end, and the fact that now it was my brother portraying this character, and then he was, you know, his
Yeah.
fate was set. I was just like crying my eyes out, and so, like, again, a dark show. My parents just had faith in me handling all these dark musicals.
No one warned me when I first saw West Side Story that it was gonna that intermission, the last scene before intermission, was gonna be that, and I was like,
Oh yeah,
"No, what just happened?"
it's so well done. Yeah.
I texted everyone very angrily, and I was like, "Why didn't anyone tell me and prepare for this?" So you're on the road with Frozen currently. It's back open. It opened in
Woo!
Buffalo, right?
Hmm.
So what was your audition process like for Frozen? Did you and Caroline always plan to audition for it together, or?
Yeah, it's funny because I think people think because we're in the show and we're married that we were like a package deal. That's not the case. I think we both have representation that got us the auditions, and it just so happened that we continued to be considered. I'm not sure how far into the process the creatives realized we were married, but at one point she went in and had an audition, and I was right after her. So she left the room, and then I walked in, and I felt a little, gutsy, and I said, "Whoa, who's that? She's hot." Kind of like made a joke, because I think auditions can always be a little stressful, and so. And I guess I, make jokes when I'm stressed. So, but they laughed, and I think in total at the end, I had 9 total auditions for the show, and it does sound like a lot, but I do think that when you see the company that the creatives have collected, um, it's clear they chose some of the best. Like I'm working with some of the most talented people in the industry, and I'm so honored and grateful to be among them for sure. There was a period of time though where the Broadway company was looking for replacements, and I had at that time I was in Jersey Boys Off-Broadway, and I had been in Jersey Boys for about a month, and they had auditions for the email said auditions for the tour, and so I went in and did the scenes in the song one day, and then the next day did the scenes in the song, and then went in the next day and did the dance combination, which is Love is an Open Door, which is basically where Anna just like climbs all over Hans like a squirrel on a tree, and did that, and then I got another call back and we did another dance day, same combination, and at the end of it, the casting director Rachel Hoffman said, "All right, guys." It was down to me and two other guys. "All right, guys, great work today. We'll have you come in tomorrow and you'll read with Patty." And I said, Patty who?" And she said, "Patty Murin." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's so interesting that you're having us read with the Broadway actor for the tour." And Rachel said, "Austin, this is for Broadway." And I was like, "Wait a second, I just signed a 9-month contract with Jersey Boys that has 0 outs. Like, I'm not allowed to get out of the contract. And I thought this was for the tour." And so, not to my knowledge, I was initially auditioning for the tour, and then the emails, it just went from for tour and then for Broadway, and I didn't spot that, and neither did my agents. So they were just submitting me. So we asked my agents, and unfortunately, I couldn't get out of the contract for Jersey Boys. So I wasn't able to go to my final callback with Patty Murin for Broadway, which I've never been on Broadway. So that's like was something that I kind of mourned for a second. But the outcome of being able to tour the country with my wife, playing Hans and Elsa, is the best.
I was gonna say everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You
A good.
Oh, wait, go.
No, good. I just say good things come out of all situations, and we just have to kind of trust that for sure.
Yes, exactly. So, do auditions ever get less nerve-wracking?
I don't think so, and I think that for me, nerves are just a sign that I care and I feel passion for what I'm doing. I think if I stop being nervous, it'll mean that I don't really care about the project, and maybe I shouldn't be pursuing it. I think with every job, not just in theater, it should be something that you enjoy and that you can put your heart into. And if you have like not stress or anxiety, but just like nerves or wanting it to go well, then you're in the right place.
And you care and you're passionate about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Where were you all when you heard that you would be going on the tour together? And what was the reaction? How did you prepare to go out on the road, to leave everything?
It was a wild, wild day. So we, in the morning, we found out we got the job after our final audition. And so in the morning, it was very old school. They had us go to the St. James Theater where Frozen Broadway was. And they said, you're going to audition on the stage, which is very old school. Nowadays, you're auditioning in, small studios all over the city. But to be able to go, walking out on the stage felt like it took a half an hour because it's just like such a big stage, and then to look out and do everything was just really magical. Caroline and I auditioned kind of separate parts in the morning, so we weren't in the same we weren't in the theater at the same time. So she was getting ready over at Kinky Boots because she was in her dressing room there. She was in Kinky Boots on Broadway, and I had gone straight to the theater because mine was earlier in the day. So I auditioned, and then I left, and I think we like passed each other and like high fived, and we were like, "Go get them!" And I waited in a cafe around the corner until she was done. And then we finished and kind of exhaled and said, "We've done everything we can. We have to release it." We took the train uptown to Washington Heights, where our apartment was, and we kind of just sat on the couch and processed. And we had, at the time, a 9-month-old German Shepherd puppy. And so we were just kind of sitting there with him. And then Caroline's manager calls her and says, "How would you like to go on tour with your husband?" And she's on the phone, and I'm sitting next to her, and I can't hear the manager. And Caroline just smiles and looks at me. And so I was like, "Oh, she booked it." And then Caroline was like, "You did too. My managers just told me." so so that was really great. My agents didn't get to me fast enough, I guess. And so we celebrated that. But in the celebrating, we immediately thought, okay, now we have to figure out how to tour the country with a 90-pound German Shepherd, which was kind of a no-brainer. He's a family member, and we're not gonna leave him behind. So we finished the lease on our apartment, moved out, bought a car so that he could take up the whole back seat, and just committed to life on the road. For rehearsals, we were rehearsing in the city, and I was thinking, we have to be in the city to rehearse, but I don't want to have to move out of our apartment during rehearsals. So we moved out prior to that, and then we stayed at an apartment downtown that our friend had. But there's a lot that goes into, like getting rid of a lot of your things and consolidating into a car and some other places and hitting the road. But it's worked out so far. Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a couple people who are on the tours where they stay in cities for like one day, and I can't even imagine the packing process for that. But like the packing process in general, like how do you gather everything for what, like more than a year,
Mm-hmm.
however long you're going to be out on tour, and be like, okay, so this is what I need for this time period.
Yeah, and if anything, a positive thing to take from the pandemic has been realizing what you need to survive, and what brings you joy, because we were so limited, and so that made, I think, repacking for tour, I looked at things differently. So I said, you know what, I don't need to pack our Instant Pot because I only make soup that many times, or so we stay in places that have kitchens, but I'm a little bit more of a minimalist now in terms of what I really need to survive, which is nice.
It is true. That did come out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So the cast has now rehearsed together twice as a full cast. Does that create a special bond with the cast to get to rehearse as a full group?
Oh, absolutely. I think the first time there's so much of coming into the process with new people, and you kind of navigate different personalities and different energies and different talents, and you kind of question your own abilities when you see really talented people do their thing, and then you feel your own insecurities. This time coming into the rehearsal process, knowing that we've all dealt with a pretty traumatic year together, mourning the loss of it, but also like celebrating. What I love about how our creators and leaders handled coming back was at the beginning, the first day of rehearsal, we circled up before doing any of the material, and we just went around and we talked about, we said our name, our role, and the feelings we carried coming into the first day. So people were able to talk about their insecurities, their fears of losing it all again, questioning whether or not they're going to be able to do it, nerves, excitement, all like a range of things. And I loved that because it was kind of allowing people to reintroduce themselves, because I think there's so much growth that people experienced through the 18 months, and it was so necessary for us to be able to share that. It was very therapeutic, and so I was just so grateful. And when we stopped in Portland, I felt like we had our stride. We were we were closer than ever, and we just picked up where we left off. And it's like I said, I mean, we have some of the best in the business, both in talent, but also just wonderful, passionate human beings who really care about the work. And I'm grateful to be among them and surrounded by them.
Yeah, it's magical. And I'm sure there were a couple tears when during circle time. I saw the rehearsal footage when you all came back, and there were definitely some tears there.
Right.
So, I mean, even you talking about it, I was like, "Aw."
Yeah.
So, you play the villain in the show. You play Hans. Is it challenging stepping into a villain's shoes, especially in a show geared towards children, where the children love to hate on Hans?
Yeah. Yeah, I do get booed just about every night, which is at first I kind of was like, "Whoa, I'm getting booed," but I think it's because they're telling me I did my job well if I get booed. But I enjoy it. I also think it's important. Frozen is a beloved story, and there are fewer people who haven't seen it than have seen it. And so knowing that, I like to try and make it my job to make you question the ending or kind of forget about his shift. And so that's a fun challenge for me and a fun little secret. And it's really been fun to work with both Caroline Interbickler, who plays Anna, and the creatives to find those little moments throughout, because the version of the story that we're telling is that Hans didn't necessarily come to Arendelle with the intention of doing what he ends up doing, but that it's kind of he's kind of an opportunist. So he's seeing these situations and kind of taking advantage each time until he realizes it. But I saw a video the other day that was pretty funny. I reposted it, of considering the story of Frozen 2, where Anna, sorry, spoiler alert, she becomes the queen at the end of Frozen 2. And if Hans had just been a nice guy, married Anna, probably would have become king in the end anyway.
Right.
It's just a reason for, just be a good person, everybody.
Yes, like your videos that you've been posting on Instagram.
Yeah, do the right thing, Hans. That's right.
Yes. Had you seen the movies before you were cast in the show?
We had seen the first one. The second movie hadn't been came out while we were on tour, so we hadn't seen Frozen 2 yet, but Frozen 1 we had.
Did you all previously know the other Caroline, and did you all kind of do a double take when you saw it was cast as Anna? Because I feel like she looks exactly like the animated Anna.
She does. She really, really does. Early on in the audition process, actually, she went in right before me. And, there's like an element of like small talk before you go in an audition when you're waiting in the waiting area, because you're both, about to do something kind of vulnerable, putting yourself out there, performing in a tiny room with people sitting behind a table. But I just remember not only enjoying her energy and her personality in that small moment in the waiting room, but then hearing her from outside the room perform, I was like, this girl's got it. Like, she's perfect. She looks the part. She clearly sounds the part. There was lots of laughter happening in the room, so I'm like, clearly she's funny, which this character needs to be. So I was not surprised when I saw her and read with her at the final audition. I was like, of course she's here.
Yeah.
That's And in a way, I was like, I think they really like her. So now I'm thinking chemistry is a big thing that they're looking at with these final auditions, how these actors, blend together. So I was like, okay, I have to really focus and really be a good scene partner with her, support her, make sure her laughs are getting lifted. And it's, a lot of the scenes with Hans and Elsa are, Hans, sets her up for a big spike laugh and a little volleyball term. But yeah, it's I knew early on that she had that honest spark that they were looking for.
And I feel like people who are good at comedy, like they make it so easy, but it's not really an easy thing, and you all have to work off each other to get those laughs during Love is an Open Door. Is there anything particularly funny that has like caught you off guard ever during that scene?
Oh my goodness, there's so much that we're juggling. Just anytime I'm on stage with Caroline Interbickler, I have to make sure that I'm staying in character and not watching her performance as Austin, because it's every night it's just so funny. And she truly is gifted in her ability to ride the waves of laughs from the audience. And I find that each audience is different, and also different cities in an odd way kind of have a different sense of humor, and she just navigates that so beautifully. It's almost like she starts the show and she's like, oh, I got you, I know where we're going with this, and she just goes. And in such a big way, I think my job is to follow her. It's I mean, we're supposed to react off of each other. That's a big part of acting, is that game of reacting off what your scene partner's giving you. But it's so fascinating to just watch too. She's very, very gifted, and it's such a treat to share the stage with her.
Now, I was talking about the kids earlier who love to hate on Hans in the audience. Pre-COVID, you all obviously did stage door. Do you have any funny moments or memorable moments from stage door and meeting those kids after the show who were like, oh wait, he played Hans on stage?
So a lot of times, if it's really young audience members who are a little nervous, because with stage door you kind of just go down the line and you speak to everybody, and some of the younger audience members are really enthusiastic about characters, and then when they clock it, or their parents are like, this guy played Hans, there's very like kind of just a wave of timid, like little fearful energy from them. My trick is to say, can I tell you a secret? And they'll say, what? Yeah. And I say, I'm actually married to Elsa in real life, but don't tell Anna. You got to keep the secret. And I think that usually kind of gets a little giggle or a laugh, or like surprise with that. But while there are Hans haters, there are also Hans lovers. People who Hans is their favorite character. And so it's been really fun to meet some of those people. I think Hans has some great qualities. I think he makes some really bad decisions. so I do think that, in life we kind of take advantage of opportunities, and he just takes advantage in the wrong way, in my opinion. But it's good to have fans for sure.
He just doesn't think things through before he takes action.
Exactly.
He's like,
Exactly.
I think I'm doing the right thing, but
He's
I haven't thought about it much.
he's the youngest of 13 brothers, and he's probably a little bit of a brat, and probably got picked on, and so it's just maybe a little bit of learned behavior, but he just makes the wrong decision.
Would you rather play a good guy or a villain in a show now?
Oh gosh, I think it depends on the show, but I think villains definitely have more fun. I think Hans is one of the greatest villains ever because he's not a villain until the very end, and so like holding on to that secret is very exciting, and yeah, I feel like most people who get the chance to play Hans really enjoy that part of it.
How would you convince people to come see the Frozen tour when it's coming to a city near them?
It's a story. We're telling a story that is so valuable right now. The pandemic's not over, but if the pandemic taught us anything, it's holding on to the things that you love and that you need, and knowing that there's so much power in community. It's the story about coming together, the in a time when we were isolation, like Elsa, fearful of hurting other people, or even getting hurt. Realizing the power of love and the ability for us all to come together, is just it's so the amount of parallels to life right now, they're endless, and it's similar to the movie, but it also has some new songs and new characters, and I think that if you love the movie, wait till you see the stage show. You're gonna be floored.
You're gonna fall more in love with Frozen in general. I feel like,
Yeah.
like I'm a fan of the movie, but I'm more of a fan of the musical.
Oh my goodness, we're such a fan of you. Thank you for being such a fan of us.
Aw, thank you. Well, I am curious if you and Caroline could be in any other show together, what show would it be?
Oh gosh, we've heard that a couple of times. Caroline did Wicked, and a lot of times she says that that was such a good experience. She'd be hesitant to go back, but she would gladly go back if I was playing Fiero, opposite her. So that's one. Um, yeah, there are so many shows. We've thought about doing Camelot, which she would play Guinevere and I would play Lancelot. And I think that's because she's so good at just being a rock star and having a really strong pop voice, but she's also an amazing soprano, and not many people know that about her. So she would love to do that. Somebody recently said chess.
Oh,
I would just love to hear Caroline sing the chess music too. I would love to hear Caroline sing, the phone book. But let's
I mean, I would love to see you all like originate something too.
that would be great too. I
That'd
would
be
love
awesome.
that.
And I know that's every theater performer's dream. Like I could see that happening.
I feel like there was rumors that A League of Their Own, which is a movie, was going to come out, and she wants to play Dottie, and I would play either her husband or the Tom Hanks character. I might need to get a little bit older. But yeah, there you go. Let's put it out there.
Yeah, manifest that.
That's right.
Yes. So, what is to kind of like wrap up Frozen? What is your favorite thing about being on the road with Caroline and Kodak, your dog?
The road can get really lonely if you're by yourself, and so I think that's why it's really important, especially when packing, to bring things that bring you joy. And you know, um, you're working with your cast, but other than that, you don't really know anybody unless you know somebody in the city that you're traveling to. You don't know somebody all the time, but to travel with family and to go to work with somebody you love so much and watch them do what they love so much, it is a great source of joy. And then to come home to like a wagging tail, excited to see you every night, is just is the best. And we we'll book Airbnbs to stay in from city to city, realizing that it's not actually our home; it's a temporary home. But having each other in it makes it that much closer to being a nice, safe place to be.
Yes, exactly. And it's like you always have company.
Exactly.
So, how do you work? This industry is very tough, even at the level that you all are at. Which, like, you all are in Frozen tour. Come on.
Yeah.
Uh, but how do you work on self confidence in this industry?
It's a constant battle, and I think it's important for actors to know their strengths, and lead with that, knowing that they can also improve other areas that they want to improve in, knowing what types of roles they would play, and leading with that is also really important. But staying on top of your craft, being when you're in a show, making sure that you're working on other material so that it's not just the same thing. Because I think in this industry, and when you're not in a show, working on everything all the time, because a lot of it's about timing, and being ready when that time presents itself, so that your skills are sharp and ready to execute whatever audition you're in, to present your best self, is really important. I actually have a voice lesson right after this with my voice teacher, Mike Ruckles. So I've this time around, I'm really making sure that I am doing my best to continue to sing different music. We also I can't really sit still for too long, but when I can, I do like to watch different movies and shows, and just to be exposed to different performers, and because you can appreciate them, you can also learn from them. So I'm a big fan of not only watching but doing as well. And I took an acting class over the pandemic, through Zoom, which is not ideal, but it was still so beneficial. I just think, and the biggest thing to take away too from the pandemic is not waiting for permission to be creative. It's providing and seeking out opportunities yourself. You don't have to. I didn't have to wait for my agents to give me an audition, or Frozen to be happening, or any of those things to do something. If I felt like singing, I would sing. Or if I felt like, I was like, I want to take an acting class. So I signed up and took an acting class. And what was really cool is I was also able to do things with friends. Like I did a reading with friends one night over Zoom, and find your community, and just create, because you learn so much by just doing.
Yes, exactly. Don't wait to do. Yeah, you don't need anyone's permission
Yeah.
to do anything. So to wrap up, because I know you have to, go to your voice lesson and get ready for your voice lesson. But do you have anything else to promote besides Frozen? I know that a lot of people were doing Broadway Plus in master classes and teaching and
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
So
I'm on Broadway Plus. Caroline Bowman, my wife, is on Broadway Plus. We do Q&As like these all the time. Happy to chat. And what else? I would promote any live theater right now, or live performance, concerts, anything like that. If you feel safe to go, go, wear a mask, be safe, but support live performing. And even over Zoom, I think there's so much there. And I think that I don't think that theater is going anywhere. I think it's one of those things that will always survive because it's always there and people are always going to be creative. But I do think that our industry is a little bit wounded right now, and it's been really reassuring to see audiences come to our show who have been craving it. And we're so grateful for the support. So if Frozen isn't in a city near you, find out what shows are and go experience them. Experience shows that you're not familiar with. You don't know, you haven't heard anything about, and go and support different organizations.
yeah, I mean, you'll fall in love with new shows.
Yeah.
So where can people follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing?
I'm really only on Instagram. I don't really have a Twitter, but I'm at Austin __ Colby, because there's a couple of other Austin Colbys, so I just made an extra space.
And you post very creative videos and content by
Yeah,
yourself and with Caroline. So I encourage everyone to go follow you.
thank you. Yeah, we have a lot of fun on the road, and because Stage Door is not really an option, we do try our best to interact with fans, and we just appreciate all the love.
Yes, and everyone go see Frozen on tour. It's magical. You're magical. The whole cast is magical. So,
Thank you, Becca.
of course, thank you so much for joining me on this, and I hope you have a good weekend and enjoy tour life.
Thank
So
you.
happy you all are back.
Have a good weekend to you too. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!